Can a bond in life be so strong? It follows the dead. And then we take a look at a bizarre conspiracy theory currently sweeping across the internet. Did you know that horses do not give birth to live baby horses? You're like, what, they give birth to dead baby horses? It's terrifying. No, even scarier. Maybe. It's actually known that would be the worst outcome, but no, nothing that sad or creepy. Is it possible everything you know about the horse's reproductive system is wrong? Is it possible that horses actually lay eggs? Today on Dead Rabbit Radio. Hey everyone, so just a little health update. I know you guys love these. No one ever listens to them. They never get many views, but that's totally fine because you're here for the ghost stories. You're not here for me saying there's not going to be an episode today. Now, I will say I did my best, I feel. I actually started recording an episode, and I got about 25 minutes into it, and I go, this is not very good. It's just not good. So then I was like, well, I got to start over from the beginning. It's 12:30 right now where I'm at in the morning. So I don't think there's going to be an episode tomorrow. I really apologize for that. Yeah, I'm at the 24-minute mark. My throat's burning up. I did go to the doctor because I know how much you guys love to hear all my doctor stories. It's not COVID. It's not strep. It's not the flu. They can see that there is inflammation in there. I'm going to get tested for this tomorrow, and I really hope it's not. It could be mono, which I had before. When I was 35, I got mono, and it put me in the hospital. It got so bad. My throat swelled up and my spleen was enlarged. It might still be enlarged for all I know. The best thing that ever came out of me getting mono is the exchange I had with my doctor. A year or two later, I was visiting a doctor, and he had me take my shirt off. I don't remember exactly what he was doing. I don't know why. I mean, actually, I usually have female doctors now, and they never ask me to take my shirt off now that I think about it, but male doctors are like, take them off. Flex for me, buddy. I took my shirt off, and he saw I had a bunch of bruises, and he goes, dude, what? You're in here for a sinus infection or whatever, but let's talk about the multiple bruises across your body. And I go, I was just fighting. It's not a big deal. And he looked at me. Again, I was like 37, 38 when this happened. He looked at me, and he goes, Jason. It's funny because he probably never thought he would utter this phrase throughout his entire medical career, and I never thought someone would ever say it to me. But it's pretty badass, actually. It's a good moment for both of us. I'm covered in bruises, and I said, yeah, I was fighting. And he goes, Jason, I'm going to tell you something. You have an enlarged spleen. The next fight you get in will be your last. And I was like, that's pretty dope. That's pretty awesome. He's like, no, it's not awesome. It's actually terrifying. He goes, your spleen is enlarged to the point that a strong enough blow to it would probably rupture it. He goes, you would die so quickly. So I think my spleen had... Jason, did you at least stop fighting? Well, I slowed down a bit. I made sure I covered my spleen more. I always keep an elbow down there to block it. No, it was really interesting. I hope it's not mono. They say the older you get, the more complications can come from it. But anyways, I'll get tested for it tomorrow. But yeah, the sore throat... Plus, the job that I do, this podcast, talking, is not a great combination. What happened was I was telling a 20-minute long story, which I think is a really interesting story, but it's not 20 minutes interesting. I'll tell it to you in 5, and then we'll be on our merry way till tomorrow. My great-grandma McGee had a bird, a parakeet called Sunny. She had it for years, and she loved this bird. She doted on him. Give him a little food, give him a little water, talk to him all day long, put a blanket over the cage when he goes to sleep so he doesn't get too cold, because it's a bird. It's a little parakeet, bro. My great-grandma McGee goes to the hospital, and she asks my mom, can you do a favor? Make sure, I don't know if my mom stayed at the house, I think she did, but basically be a house sitter for Sunny. Take care of my bird, because she'd had this bird for, I don't know, like 7 or 8 years at this point. I don't even know how long parakeets live. But she had him for a long time. And my mom said, sure, no problem. Don't worry about it, Grandma McGee. You just go in the hospital and feel better. Well, what happens is my mom, I tell the story from time to time in real life because it does have a weird ending, but I doubt my mom would like that. One night, my mom forgets to cover up the cage with the blanket. And a window was left open. So in the morning when my mom went to check on Sunny, he was dead. He basically froze to death. So my mom's flipping out because here's the thing about my great-grandma. Totally awesome woman. She's passed at this point, but totally awesome woman. Love her a lot. She could also be very vindictive and mean at times, and she held grudges. My mom was sobbing because she goes, she's never going to talk to me again. She's going to call the police, call the bird police. And so she's so sad. She's sad because she killed the bird, but she's also sad because she let down Grandma McGee. And she's a little scared because Grandma McGee can be very vindictive. So my mom, my Grandma Miller, I wasn't part of the plan. I was there while they were discussing it, and I was told, don't ever tell Grandma McGee what we're about to do. And I said, oh, yeah, sure, no problem. I'm not someone who spills a lot of secrets, even as a kid. They go, we're going to have to replace Sonny. That's the only way out of this. How hard can it be to find a yellow parakeet? It's pretty easy, actually. But the question is, will Grandma McGee know? So they drive around town hitting up these pet shops. They find a yellow parakeet that they think looks close enough. They take her, Sonny version 2, to the house, put her in the cage. My mom forgets to put the blanket on again. No, I'm just joking. There's a new bird in there, and my Grandma McGee gets out of the hospital. She was in there for a couple weeks. It was kind of a major thing. And my mom said, she goes, dude, because, obviously they were super afraid this wasn't going to work. Grandma McGee walked up to the cage and was just staring at it. Here's the thing, now I'm like, I'm going to tell this stupid story again. I've already been talking for who knows how long about that. Is it even an interesting story? You're like, it is if you leave it at a cliffhanger like that. Here's the thing. I think the story's super interesting. I'll go in and finish it. It just hurts to talk. So, my Grandma McGee is looking at the bird, which is not Sonny. This bird that she's had for years. It is not the same bird at all. A close facsimile. They do all kind of look the same. But to someone who's observant, it's not just what it looks like, it's how it acts. And she goes, Grandma McGee walked into that kitchen and she went to go say hi to Sonny, and she's just staring. Something's off, and my mom's sweating bullets. Right? Because here's the thing. They already killed one bird. Now they're trying to lie to my grandma. Grandma McGee just stares at it like something's off, but she never asks. She just assumes it's Sonny. Because the alternative, that your bird died and the two closest people to you have enacted a conspiracy to trick you. Over the years, my mom said, Grandma would make a comment about Sonny, being like, isn't it weird how Sonny is doing this? He never did this before. But it was super rare that she would make a comment like that. Like every couple of years, my mom would be like, birds are weird. Right? Birds are weird. Sometimes they act differently, sometimes they freeze to death, and you have to buy an exact copy. Birds do all sorts of crazy things. It wasn't the real Sonny. Grandma McGee didn't know that. But Sonny would have, right? Sonny version 2 would know he wasn't the original Sonny. Like, what, does he have a newspaper? How would he know that? Well, they did put newspaper in the lining of the cage. Well, he would know he just came out of a pet store. He's in a cage now. He doesn't have memories of the past 6, 7, 8 years, however long the original Sonny lived. This is what I think is so weird about this story. So it's not the same bird. Fast forward, I don't know, 10, 13 years. This is something that should have raised a lot of red flags. That bird was living longer than any parakeet alive. It was basically 2 parakeets' lifespans sewn together. But 10, 11, many years later, my Grandma McGee dies. She dies in a rest home. And it sucked. Obviously, I wish I had spent more time with her. I have this problem. I just assume everyone is immortal. So I'll talk to him tomorrow. I did visit her a couple times in the home, but I wish I had visited her way more. And she didn't get to see Sonny anymore. She's in the rest home. Sonny has to stay at my grandma's house. But, we still fed Sonny, gave him water, covered up the cage at night. Well, I thought this was just pretty interesting, right? So one night, my Grandma McGee dies in this rest home. And I'm given the news in the morning. Obviously, I'm really sad. She's one of my favorite people ever. And my grandma, her daughter is sad, and we're all really sad, and we're just kind of trying to process, because she was like 92, 93. When someone lives that long, you just assume they're going to be around forever. And I remember we were just all super sad that morning, and making phone calls, calling up other family members and stuff like that. And then maybe like an hour or two after we got the news my grandma had passed away, I was sitting in the kitchen, and my grandma walks over and she takes the blanket off of Sonny's cage. Sonny's dead. He's just laying there on the newspaper-covered floor of the birdcage. And I look at my grandma. My grandma goes, "Oh my God, Sonny's dead." And I look at her and she looks at me. Because not a lot of people knew the story about the fake bird. We had to keep it really... The only reason I knew about it because I was sitting at the table at the time when my mom was freaking out. Sonny died the exact same night that Grandma McGee died, which is interesting for two reasons. We have stories about people whose pets die. They visit them as ghosts. We also have stories about people who die and then their beloved pet dies at the same time. Not like they both got run over by a train, but just some sort of soul connection. What I always thought was interesting about this story wasn't even the same bird. But that connection was still there between my grandma and this bird. Like, that took you 20 minutes to tell? Yeah, I know. It's not the greatest story in the world. I mean, I think the original version might have had more gravitas, but I always thought that story was interesting. Right? And now I'm thinking it's probably not the most. Tell us about horse aches, you idiot. You've been talking about horse aches for 2 days now, and you're not doing no horse. Oh, listen, I'm sick. I will do horse egg. Here's the problem with the horse egg story, right? If you can imagine, like, wow, what could be illogical about that story? I need to find a good way to tell it because a lot of it's just facts and figures. It's like the size of a horse uterus versus the density of a horse egg type of stuff. As you're throwing up, you're all blah, blah, tell us about the bird again, hurry up, blah, throwing up. No, it's like I was looking over my notes. I want to do the horse egg story. It was actually recommended to me by one of you guys, Ampus Allen. Sent it over. And it's a great story, but I'm trying to find the perfect way to present it, probably with a lot of sound effects. I make like a mold of a horse uterus over here. It's like a rubber mold. I'm all putting like slime on it. And I'm pushing eggs out in front of the mic like a Foley artist. Bloop, bloop. Okay, yeah, that was it. That was about the end of what my throat can tolerate. I hope I don't have mono. I hope I continue to get in fights and not explode upon contact like I'm made of TNT or something like that. And the bird... What was up with that bird story? Now, isn't it interesting you can have a soul bond with someone that isn't the right person, is what I'm saying. Her Sonny, who lived for 20 years, didn't die the moment or the night. Let's not exaggerate. My grandma's all, and the bird's all, At the same time, she had 2 birds over the course of about, 20 years. She thought it was one bird, so she had a soul connection to her favorite pet in the world. But that pet died, and then we replaced it with another version, and then that one died the same night Grandma died. Yeah, Jason, she had the bird for 10 years, and it sounded like she loved it and cared for it. Yeah, but isn't it weird? Weird? I think of it this way. Imagine I meet a beautiful woman, she's the love of my life, we get married, and then she gets killed in a horrible steamroller accident. Human toothpaste tube. And I'm horrified by that. But I learned to find love again. I see the steamroller driver. Hey, honey, you look pretty hot. After this whole arraignment for possible manslaughter charges, why don't we go out? She's not the love of my life. I love her. But she's not the love of my life. That woman was. that pancake lady over there. That was the love of my life. I love you, but you're not my soulmate. But over the course of our relationship, I learned to love her even more and more and more. And although she's not my soulmate, she's good enough. And then one night, she gets blown up. Someone throws dynamite at her. She becomes a spy, and she fights a white-colored spy in her black uniform, and she gets dynamite thrown at her, and she blows to bits. And then that night, I'm laying in bed, and all of a sudden I go, ugh! And I die. Just like natural causes. you would go, well, that's interesting, because that lady got flattened. That lady got squished, and Jason just pulled out his camera phone. It's like, oh, this will look great on TikTok. I'm doing a dance on top of her. That was his soulmate. But then this other lady he hooked up with for a couple of years, he dies the same time. I wonder why. See, it's kind of interesting. Like, no, it's not. It's totally different. She loved both birds. And also, you should have tricked your grandma. Okay. I think it's interesting. My point is that you can have a soul connection to something, even though it's not the real thing. Like, you think, wow, this is my favorite wallet in the world. I remember my grandma got me this wallet. Wow. But then what happens is my mom, who's a total dunce, loses my wallet. It freezes to death in the middle of the night. She has to run out and buy me a new wallet that looks exactly like that one. And she goes, oh, Jason, you dropped this. I go, oh, thanks, Mom. That's not the same wallet, but I have an emotional attachment thinking it is the same wallet. And then the day that I die, it's just a wallet. The day that you die, what? Okay, I don't know. The leather gets creased. People are like, oh, look at this wallet. It's kind of gross looking now. I don't know. I think it's an interesting story, but we got to wrap it up. I just get sicker and sicker. I'm on some steroids right now, and I'm on some antibiotics, so I hope this all ends pretty quickly. If it's mono, it can last a while, but we'll figure it out. We'll get it going, because we can't keep this up for a while. I mean, we got to talk about horse things. We got to talk about the story worse than mucking. We have stuff on the docket, people. DeadRabbitRadio@gmail.com is going to be our email address. You can also hit us up at Facebook.com/DeadRabbitRadio. TikTok is @DeadRabbitRadio. Dead Rabbit Radio is the daily paranormal conspiracy and true crime podcast. You're like, the bird story isn't any of those. It's not true crime. The conspiracy is your conspiracy to lie to your grandma. And then kind of paranormal, right? The bonds we forge in life. They follow us into death. I think it's cool stuff. Dead Rabbit Radio is your... how do I end this? Dead Rabbit Radio is the daily paranormal conspiracy and true crime podcast. You don't have to listen to it every day, but I'm so glad you listened to it today. Have a great one, guys.